Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm coming with you today with Bible verse for week number one, including the life application notes for the Bible verse coming from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27. Right? So the verse is, So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Okay? So the first point to realize from this verse naturally is one of God making us in his image, meaning to say that we are not um, random. Okay, we are not random. We have not come into existence by chance. Quite contrarily, we are a proof of the love of God, and we have been created by God on purpose. All right. Consequently, each of us naturally does have a purpose. Okay, that which is love. God is love, and his love expressed to us is in effect Him actually creating us. So, again, God is love, and we are again created in His image. God loves us. Life application number two. Another way to apply this to your life. So first off, understanding that we do have purpose, and that our purpose is, in effect, to respond in gratitude to that love, right? And to obey God with all of our hearts and to be able to set an example in accordance with that love. We should also realize that we are, in effect, reflections of God's glory. Okay, we are reflections of God's glory, specifically because, well, in particular, just one thing of many, we have the ability to think, we have the ability to decide, and we have the ability to engage reason and free will. Okay, our ability to speak, our ability to create, and our ability to engage our environment is very specific, and it is something that we should be grateful for. Our entire self reflects God's image, and we should understand that we're not God. We're created in the image of God, but we're not God, because God is limitless and He's a supreme creator. We are His creation, and we have the ability to engage certain creation. But we should also realize that we are able to reflect God's character in our love, our patience, our forgiveness, our kindness, and our faithfulness. So, in what way do you reflect God's image to others? Okay. The third point of application to our lives that we should realize that you are special. You are a unique creation, each one of us are. And we should know that we are created in the image of God, and this gives us a solid basis for our self-worth. And as a consequence, regardless of how we look or how we feel, how tired we are, the struggles we're going to, how we feel that we are or are not being treated, we should take the time to still be positive, to feel positive about ourselves, and to realize that God has created us like Himself and that we are in effect special. The fourth application to our lives is to not only reflect, but to realize and appreciate, not to the point of getting stuck, but to appreciate that even though we do get down on ourselves, especially when things are going badly, or when we make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, or when we fail. It's important for us to remember again, that we're special and not to downgrade ourselves. It is downgrading ourselves as something special and unique is a direct criticism of God, and it and in His having afforded us um, abilities, okay, as I mentioned before, abilities to create, abilities to determine and constitute that which is in our sphere, to think, decide, to execute free will, and the like. So it's important not to downgrade, not to degrade ourselves, but rather to understand that we are persons of worth and that God loves us and that we have a responsibility to love ourselves and to love other people. The fifth application has to do with going directly back to the verse, in that God created male and female, right? Now, it's important to understand that both man and women have been created in God's image. Now, this means that we are both special, we are both unique, we both have this capacity to think and decide and execute free will, and naturally have to endure the consequences of that free will in engaging God's glory. Okay, we are God's glory. Um, God loves both men and women. It's not as just as though God only loves men or God only loves women. No, God loves men and women. And as God's creation, we are the pinnacle of what God has created. And it is His plan for us to rule over what He has created, to have dominion. But in having dominion, we also have to engage responsibly with that which we have dominion over, meaning to say, we have the ability to control and command a lot. But that control and that command it creates natural consequences that requires or that results in um, specific consequences that should not be taken lightly and that tend to affect an increasing number of things in succession. So again, we do have this dominion, but it is not something to be taken lightly or to not be careful with. Okay, it's something that we should definitely wield carefully, right? And as a sixth application to our life, it's important to appreciate that we are not just advanced animals. Okay, um, we are humans, men and women. We are very specific. We have God's stamp of approval. We are created in His image. We are special creations. Those are also creations of God. They have their purposes, and they are beautiful, and they are important. But we are something in addition to that. We are much more than advanced animals, and we must appreciate that God has created all men and women, including those who are our neighbors and our friends and our enemies, which sometimes can be all three to one extreme or another at the same time. this is even the case with those who in our societies, in our social construct, right, could be assumed to, or could have been proven to be despicable criminals. Okay, even they are a special creation of God. Okay, so it becomes important when we are considering people and ourselves and the varying relationships that come out of that. Okay, with God's perspective, right? And with this perspective of love and purpose and, and positivity and understanding that we are special, that we do have worth, and that we do have responsibility and dominion. Okay, um, you should consider people a bit differently than you otherwise would. So it is important to look at people from the perspective of God as the creator, in that we are a special creation, and in that we are special. So again, the Bible verse from this week is Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. Again, that's Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, which states, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." Again, that's Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good evening. Goodbye now.